What we're trying to do here through draft legislation, if you have it, is to allow municipalities the option to set up a loan fund and have the availability of using bond funds to support community requests or constituents' requests with regards to getting their houses fixed. And keeping in mind the road scenario, develop a plan of attack based on the individual residents who have come forward, send appropriate engineers out to houses to validate that, have assessors look at the conditions of those houses, and all of this can be done internally inside the confines of a municipality. I believe that this gets people to the table. I believe it's a manageable project and a manageable solution, and as well, the third caveat in the draft legislation also allows for a third party to assist the town in the deliberation of handling this scenario. So we've tried to be as thorough as we can. There will be some moving parts on this, but we wanted to present this as an option to municipalities so that, in fact, we could get people, provide people with a solution to this very, very traumatic problem that people are having.
Chair, I listened to many people with their heartbreaking stories. One of them, a couple that were in their 70s. And they were losing everything as a result of the crumbling concrete, where at one time they were hopeful of selling their home. They no longer could sell their home, and then they couldn't afford to repair it. So it was particularly devastating. What we're trying to do with this legislation is to provide a beginning discussion on a mechanism to provide people with a financial resource to address this issue. This is the beginning level. In other countries that have had the pyrrhotite crumbling concrete issue, there has been also an assistance from their federal government and their state government, what would be the equivalence of that. Many communities get housing rehabilitation monies that come through the state from the federal government, just not at the level that we need. They're usually referred to as community development block grants for housing rehabilitation. And usually most communities, unless they're a community that gets it straightforwardly, only get about $500,000 in one fell swoop. That would allow for 2, maybe 3 homes to be fixed. And we also know that people are not going to come forward unless there's a reason for them or a way for them to get a financial recovery of the expenses of repairing them. I'm really pleased to start the discussion with substantive language that will provide us with an ability to get some resources to people who are losing that American dream, that quintessential American dream of owning their own home. And we want to make sure that we're providing the resources. And this is particularly hard on Eastern Connecticut, which is, generally speaking, a lower or lower middle income family. Your regular blue collar workers are in Eastern Connecticut, and I think that we have to provide the resources for them.
As Senator Osten said, that it's a blue collar area of the state, and for a victim to pay the price of their house twice is just not realistic. But if it's a loan where it can get the families that our homes have been deemed unsafe back into their houses and forgiven at a later point, then that's something of interest for sure.